No, Bruce, don't go in there. I need to be in the video. Hi everyone, welcome to Sugar Glider Diaries. I'm Kimberly. Today we are going to be talking about what diet I feed my 3 sugar gliders and why. Some pros and cons to that diet so that you can make the best decision for you and your sugar gliders. Before I get into it, I just want to point out that I am wearing one of my Sugar Glider merchandise hoodies. This is my favorite hoodie that I own. It's so excuse me, I'm trying to talk about our merch. So it has a dandelion that is being blown and it turns into sugar gliders. And that same logo is really big on the back of the hoodie as well. I have lots of other shirts and things like that in the merch store. So I'll include that in the description box if you're interested in getting you one. And for those of you who are new to sugar gliders or just researching about sugar gliders and their diets, in the community, there's what's called a staple diet. And those staple diets are either time tested or lab tested to give a glider a well-rounded source of all the nutrients that they need. So gliders can actually get very sick if they're not given the right portions and ratios of certain things in their diet, such as protein and especially calcium and phosphorus. And there's quite a few different things that actually affect the calcium phosphorus ratio besides calcium and phosphorus. And so I'm not going to go into all the science of that. All that to say, you really can't just give a glider apples and mealyworms or cat food and apples, or just kind of make up your own types of diet based off of what your glider likes, because then they're not going to be getting the needs that they have nutritionally. There is a prevailing myth out there that you can basically just give gliders vegetables and fruit and maybe some kibble of any kind, and that's going to be good to go.
Please, no, no, no!
I do not think that that is accurate at all. There's been a lot of cases documented where gliders have been on diets such as that and then go in to the vet and they have calcium deficiency, which leads to bone issues, hind leg paralysis, all kinds of bad stuff. That being said, there's a few different staple diets. So when I refer to a staple, that's what I mean by that. There's different diets. Usually it's a recipe that you follow. I used to have a diet video on my channel when I was feeding TPG, but I took that down just because that's not the diet that I'm currently feeding. And I want to make sure that I'm staying current with what I am currently feeding and recommending. If you are feeding the TPG diet, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to switch. She's against TPG. I'm not against the TPG diet. I do have reasons for switching. This video is going to be just strictly about the diet that I'm currently feeding and why I'm feeding it. The diet I'm currently feeding is the BML kibble, and it is formulated by the same people that came up with the BML recipe that so many people use. The BML recipe is one of the most well-known and well-used, time-tested, lab-tested. Same people that came up with that recipe are the ones that formulated this kibble. It is manufactured by a different company and distributed by another company, but it is the actual BML founder's recipe and formula, if that makes sense. So what the BML kibble does is it replaces the liquid part of the BML diet. So if you're not familiar with the BML diet is a 2-part diet. One part is like a liquid-based diet. When it's in from the freezer and you scoop it out, kind of has like an ice cream consistency and then it melts. It has quite a bit of honey and quite a few other ingredients in it. It's served with a side of fruits and vegetables. That side of fruits and vegetables is very specific to that diet. It's very specific about the calcium phosphorus ratio. They only recommend specific fruits and vegetables that have been lab tested to balance out the liquid part of the BML diet. The kibble version of that, the actual kibble is formulated to replace not the fruits and vegetable part, but the liquid part. So it has all the same nutrients that the liquid part has in it. And then you also add fruits and vegetables on the side, and then you give yogurt once a week. The main reason why I feed this diet is because my veterinarian has recommended for me to feed a kibble-based diet. And I looked into that, and the only kibble-based diet that I felt comfortable feeding was the BML kibble, because it is formulated to be a staple, just like the BML diet with the liquid has been formulated to be a staple. The BML kibble is, I would say, the simplest version of a sugar glider diet that's out there on the market, because really there's quite a few different ingredients that you need to get to make the BML liquid. I'm going to put those up on the screen here, and then you mix all of those together and then freeze it, and that creates the liquid half of the BML diet. The kibble replaces the need for doing that, which is very convenient, and I really like that. The kibble is also abrasive on the teeth, so as they chew it, it's kind of acts as like a dental cleaning. It doesn't replace actual dental cleanings. Vets recommend to have a kibble, and actually every diet recommends having some version of a kibble in the cage. Each diet recommends something different. So you could feed the BML diet with the liquid and then have the kibble as the kibble that goes with that diet. But this diet that I'm feeding, the kibble is not just something that's fed on the side. It is a vital part of their daily nutrition. You do a certain number of scoops of this kibble alongside some of the fruits and vegetables that are listed on the package, and then you give Activia yogurt once a week. It completely eliminates the need to make the recipe for the glider diet.
All right, guys, editing Kimberly here. I want to insert a couple of things that I forgot to mention when I originally recorded this. On the feeding directions that's currently on the label that you will get from the BML kibble bag, you'll see that it says if you feed the kibble alone, that you want to feed 2 tablespoons. And I just want to clarify that that is for emergency use only. That is specified on the website, but it's not currently specified on the packaging. I also just want to mention that I am coming from a pet-only position. I don't have any breeding experience, so I cannot recommend this diet for specifically breeding pairs or gliders that are going to be producing joeys. That's just not my expertise and not something I'm comfortable recommending. Lastly, before we get back to the video as it was originally filmed, I want to show you on the White Oak Sugar Glider website how to get to the kibble that I am currently feeding. You're going to want to go to this shop button, then diets and treats, and then the first kibble that you're going to see is actually a new recipe. I do not have any experience with that specific recipe. So what you're going to actually want, if you want the same thing that I am feeding, is not the honey and caramel one. You're going to actually want to scroll down, and then you'll see the BML kibble, large bag, small bag. So that's actually the recipe that I am currently feeding my gliders. I don't have any information on what they did to modify the recipe for the apple and caramel version, so I just wanted to mention that really quick.
And if you continue to want to do a staple that makes a recipe, that's absolutely fine. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that or being an advocate that everybody has to switch to this diet. I'm just telling you this is the diet that I am doing and why. And like I said, my vet has recommended for me to do that. I did have one glider pass away from what my vet is saying were dental issues. There could have been other factors there. I won't go into that in this video. But also Pika and Balky, which are my 2 other gliders that I have besides Bruce. Bruce is a baby, but Pika and Balky are adults, and they both have had dental issues. Balky had gingivitis.
You know, gingivitis is the #1 cause of all tooth decay.
So when he had to have a deep cleaning, he didn't lose any teeth. And then Pika actually has lost teeth, and she had to have a deep scaling, and during the deep scaling, 10 of her teeth came out. So I have a medical reason why I am doing a kibble-based in my diet, but I do think that a kibble-based diet can be a good preventative thing for your glider's dental health as well. Hi, Bruce. Hi, baby boy. So I think I've gone over some of the pros of doing this diet just based off of why I have chosen to do it. It's easy, it's good for their teeth, but there's definitely cons to the diet as well. And I don't think that this diet is for everyone. So I'm gonna go over some of the cons. You can make a decision on whether you think that this diet would be good for you. Some gliders are gonna be more inclined than others to actually eat kibble. So if you have, especially if you have like adult gliders that have never really had a kibble base to their diet, you might have a hard time getting them to actually do this diet. And it's really important that they eat the kibble. It's not just a bonus that's in the cage for if they want a snack or they get hungry. Do you see him? So it's not just a supplement that you can just have in the cage. You really have to make sure that they actually are eating the kibble. That does kind of require a little bit of tough love for the gliders that are not going to be very inclined to want to eat it. So what I had to do, and I actually did get this advice directly from the creator of the diet, but what I had to do was actually cut back dramatically on the fruits and vegetables that were being offered, and for a short period offer more of the kibble and less of the fruits and vegetables, especially basically no fruit, only vegetables, and even then just a very small amount, so that they really had to eat some of the kibble, because gliders don't like change. If you're not one that can do that, because I understand that that can be hard. You're used to being able to give your glider treats a lot and really have them enjoy every ounce of their diet. To go to a diet that they have a hard time with, at least at first, can be difficult. So if you're not able to do that, then that might not be the right option for you. White Oak Sugar Gliders is the distributor of BML kibble. And one thing that they do recommend is adding a little bit of apple juice to the kibble. Not to where it's like soaked in it, but just a little bit so that they start chewing on it, and then it gets them in the habit of eating it. Like I said, it's really less about the fact that they don't like it and more about the fact that they don't like change. They're kind of like toddlers in that way. So that's another technique that you could try if your glider is less apt to eat the kibble. Also, you do have to order it from this specific company. I'm in the US, so I will put the links for the US. I believe there's a Canadian distributor. I'll try to look into that and get that in the description box if I can find it. You might not be able to get this kibble in your country, so that definitely could be a problem. The other thing is the kibble is kind of messy. There's two different kinds of mess with gliders with their diets. There's kind of like liquidy mess, which is sticky, which gets on the bars and you have to clean off. And then there's just throw around mess, and they do like to throw around the kibble. So you definitely need to vacuum up more around the base of the cage, and I don't have a drop tray, so I actually vacuum out the trays themselves on a pretty regular basis because it does collect kibble. So those are some reasons why you might not want to do the BML kibble. The preparation involved in the BML kibble diet is very, very minimal. In my last diet video that I took down where I show you how to make TPG, I literally showed you how to make it because there was preparation involved. There really is no prep involved with the BML kibble. So what I do is I store my kibble in a plastic storage container in my fridge because it lasts longer in the fridge and you can buy it more in bulk that way. And then I actually take the fruits and vegetables that are on the list for the BML kibble. I use my ice cube trays that I've shown you in other videos that I got off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description if you want to get those same trays. And then I actually combine random combinations of the fruits and veggies into those ice cube tray sections. So I mostly give my gliders frozen fruits and vegetables. I find this to be a lot more convenient, and it allows me to give them a lot more variety than always having to have a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables on hand to meet their diet, because you do tend to throw away some. So I do use the ice cube trays still. And what I'll do when I have some extra time is I'll just grab a few of the packages out of the freezer. I'll chop up a bunch of those while they're still frozen, and before they've completely unthawed, I stick them in the ice cube trays, and then I freeze the ice cube trays. Each night I take out a certain number of ice cubes because I've measured out the proper portions between the kibble and the fruits and veggies. And so I know how many cubes makes up one of the servings, if that makes sense. You definitely want to make sure if you're feeding this diet that you are not overfeeding the fruits and veggies, especially the fruits. You want to go heavy on the veggies, if anything. So it could be a 50-50 split, or you could do extra veggies and light on the fruit. Sugar is not really great for dental health. So if you're wanting to do this as a preventative or your gliders had dental issues, going heavier on the veggies and less on the fruit will help with that, except for the corn. The corn I use exclusively as a treat. They might get, you know, maybe 10 kernels of corn a week. It's not something that I do in large portions, because the calcium phosphorus ratio is not good with corn. It is part of the approved list, but it's not recommended to do in abundance. So I mix up a variety of the fruits and veggies, freeze them in the ice cube trays, and then each night I will take out the portion that my gliders personally eat of the fruits and veggies. Now on the list that they give you when you get the BML kibble package, it gives you a, you know, you want to feed this amount per glider. You do want to try doing that. However, if you're giving that and your glider's leaving all of the kibble and not eating any of it and only eating the fruits and vegetables, they're not getting a well-balanced staple diet. So you then have to cut back on the amount of fruit. So you want to keep the ratio of kibble to fruits and veggies the same, but cut back on the fruits and veggies. For my gliders do not actually eat the same amount that they recommend to serve on the package. So I'm just gonna let you know that right up front. I really think that you need to pay close attention to your gliders when you're switching diets, making sure that they are getting well-rounded, proper nutrition. You don't need to feel bad about doing this diet just because it's easier. Glider people, pet owners can kind of get like mom guilt. You know, it's like, oh, well, I've been spending all this time and effort in hand making all their meals, and now I'm not making their meals. I don't think that you need to feel bad about that. They're still getting adequate nutrition, and it does have medical benefits that other diets don't necessarily have. So I don't think that that should be a deciding factor personally. I'm sure I'll get somebody that disagrees with me on that, and that's okay. You certainly don't have to feed the BML kibble. White Oak Sugar Gliders BML kibble does not sponsor me in any way. They've never asked me to advocate for them. This is completely just me telling you what diet I feed. So there are some pros, are some cons. I definitely think that with any diet, one thing that I've started doing that I would really advocate is cage side bonding while holding the food. This diet is nice for that, but I think you could do it with pretty much any diet. You know when you go to feed your gliders from the cage and they're excited to see the food, put the food in the cage and then you walk away, maybe watch them eat it or whatever. This allows them to interact with you more. I'll probably do a whole separate video on it, but I just wanted to mention it. If your room is secure and safe to where if they did escape, they wouldn't be in danger, I would definitely recommend doing this. You stand by the cage with the food and then you gradually move it away so they have to climb on your arm or onto you to get to the food. And it just associates you with good things. It's done wonders for me bonding, especially with Balky because he is so food motivated. So yeah, and then the other thing I will mention, I'm gonna do a whole separate video on treats. I will mention that because of the dental issues that I've had with my gliders, I actually don't give any sugary sweets treats anymore. I only give treats that are good for their teeth and that are not high in sugar. So I've really switched more towards like chicken bones, chicken drumsticks. You definitely want to get ones and cook them yourself. Please don't go and get drumsticks from a restaurant and then give them the bone because they need to not have any seasoning on them. But if you can get drumsticks from the supermarket, you cook them in the oven and then you strip away almost all of the meat, like 99% of the meat. They will actually eat the marrow out of the chicken bone, which is great for their dental health. So I do that with my gliders maybe once every couple weeks. Also, the corn from the diet becomes a treat. That's something that they don't get every day. I also do pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds in the shell, which is another good abrasive thing for their teeth. I've really switched more to those types of treats. The BML Kibble Diet does recommend giving mealyworms in the morning as also another dental health cleaning. They say it's kind of like brushing your teeth because they really work the live mealyworm. It's really gross. Anyway, so my gliders do get live mealyworms. I don't give them to them every single morning, but I do give them to them on a regular basis. And dried mealyworms do not have the same nutritional value, if you're wondering. So you really do need to do live mealyworms. Lately, I've gotten a small container of mealyworms from Rainbow Mealyworms. I'll put a link in the description for that too. I keep them in my fridge and they last a really long time that way. Yeah, I think that's it. I do plan on doing another video where I do more of a compare and contrast of the different diets that I have fed, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them, and why I've chosen to not do those anymore. I do recommend if you are going to do a handmade, non-kibble based diet, the one I would recommend would be GOHPW or OHPW or BML. Those are kind of my two top if I'm gonna rank them personally. And that's not the one that Exotic Nutrition sells, by the way. This is an actual recipe. Not an expert, that's just from the research that I've done, what I would personally recommend. There's other good staple diets. I'm not saying that there's not. If you're asking for my personal opinion, that's what I would recommend. All right, guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Check out my merch store if you feel like it. And make sure you give the video a thumbs up and have a wonderful day. Bye. No, but I want you to be in the video. People say they don't want to see my face. They want to see Sugar Gliders. You can see the back of his head. He's not usually this crabby. He just doesn't want to make this video, apparently. I won't bother you. Just stay in the bra. Just stay in there. I won't get you out for a couple hours. I think he's pooping. Yeah, he's pooping. I just felt it drop in my shirt. Hold, please. Ah! Nipped me a little bit. You happy? Sir. Boy, this video is going to be fun to edit. See, this is why I don't have gliders in all of my videos. It really is distracting.
You just made that video so difficult. You little stink. Oh, I love you though. I just love you. You're so sweet.